JJ Ramberg is an old friend and is the founder of Goodshop, the maker of Gumdrop, which automatically finds you the best deals and coupons when you shop online. She's also the host of the MSNBC program, Your Business, and is the author of the best-selling book, It's Your Business. I've been on JJ's program, grilled by her a number of times, so I'm excited to be able to ask you some questions. Why don't you come right out? Everyone, JJ.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you for joining us.
Excited to have the tables turned.
Lots of formats. We have, this is exciting. All right.
I'm excited about that.
I know. Aren't you happy the judges aren't still here?
Yeah, exactly.
So tell us, what is Goodshop? Why'd you start it?
Those are two big questions. All right, well, I started Goodshop 12 years ago with my brother Ken. And our whole idea started with, we want to come up with a socially responsible company that gives back. And so let's figure out what we're going to do with it. You'll get to the beginnings of it, but I'll get to the Goodshop part. And we landed on shopping. So everyone shops, and we had this model of, back in the old days, right, buy a pink lipstick and money will go to help breast cancer. Buy something from the Red campaign and money goes to help HIV and AIDS patients. And we thought, what if we could figure a way where we could do all products at all stores and you get to choose the cause? And so we made deals with a whole bunch of stores and we launched Goodshop. And then after a while of having Goodshop, we realized there needs to be more because it is frankly, it's not as easy to go to Goodshop and then click through to the Gap. There's no reason. So doing good wasn't enough. So then we added all the coupons. So now we're one of the #1 coupon aggregators on the web. And we have our browser plugin Gumdrop, so that you, as a consumer, get the best coupons automatically, and in addition, you get to help your cause.
Kind of a no-brainer, I guess. That makes sense.
That's what we think.
But it was it didn't start with Goodshop. It started with Goodsearch. And
Yep.
I know, a lot of us have or will have to go through changes or pivots in our business. Maybe you could talk a little bit. I have as well. Maybe you could talk a little bit about how you made the transition from Goodsearch to Goodshop and what that experience was like.
Sure. So when we first started the company in 2005, we launched Goodsearch. And the whole idea was we took Yahoo's search engine, we made a deal with them, put a new skin on it called Goodsearch, let people choose their cause, and then every time they searched, a penny would go to their favorite cause. We sort of estimated what our revenue was going to be and worked out that we could donate a penny per cause. And it worked right from the beginning. It was like Startup 101 in the encyclopedia. Me working from home, Ken working from his house in California, a contract designer, a contract engineer, me calling all these calls like, hi, Habitat for Humanity, this is JJ. Want to sign up for this? And eventually we got it going. We were on, when we launched Daily Candy, which you remember,
Yep.
Maybe some of you don't, but it was a daily newsletter. And so we got a lot of users right away, and we were profitable pretty early on, because we kept 50% of the revenue to run the business. But then as time went on, it was Yahoo search. People were not as interested in it, and we had launched Goodshop, and then we launched the coupons, and we just saw that it was so much more beneficial for the company and the causes for us to concentrate on Goodshop. And it was a little complicated, and frankly, even after all these years, it still is sometimes because we started as Goodsearch.
Right.
And Goodshop was a part of Goodsearch. And so it was a big deal to change the name, bigger deal than you might think looking back.
But I'll say, when you shut something down to focus on something that you're more excited about or you think is a bigger opportunity, there is like this resurgence of energy that must come from that focus.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And we didn't shut Goodsearch down. It even still exists.
Okay.
If you want to do your searching on there.
Just not
raise money for cause. But we just stopped paying attention to it.
Got it.
And so, but yes, then, of course, we had suddenly this new product that we were all excited. And this wasn't the first product we tried. So we launched Goodsearch, and we launched Goodshop, and then we launched Good TV ads, where you could watch a TV ad and raise money for your cause, and Good Trial Pay, where you could try a product and raise money for your cause, and Good Dining. And we launched 1,000 goods and then killed them off one by one because none of them worked in the way that Goodshop worked. Mm-hmm. And so that was a good, interesting learning experience, which you all know this, but if something's not working, kill it. I wish we had killed them quicker than we did.
So you founded this with your brother.
I did.
Partnerships can be difficult. Sometimes family partnerships can be even more difficult. How have you made that work, and how do you work together?
We're lucky, and I know they can be difficult because I've seen it in my other life as an MSNBC host. But Ken and I work really well together. We come from a family of family businesses, so my brother and my mom had started a company together called Job Track, which they ran together for 13 years. And my dad had did a company with his dad, and so we have this kind of ethos of working together. So for us, no problems. It's worked fine. And I think ultimately it's because we care about each other more than, and we don't even talk about this, right? But what's mine is his, what's his is mine. There's no competition between us. You know, there's sometimes he thinks something and I'm like, that is a terrible idea, but I'm willing to give it a shot, and I'm sure he thinks the same thing sometimes. But it's worked really fine, no problems with us.
It just goes to show that when we're told, don't start something with your partner or your friend or your sibling or whatever, because there are horror stories, but sometimes that's the best thing to do. I mean, it's one of those examples of where conventional wisdom can cut both ways, I guess.
I think it's about your relationship, right? And we don't play by any of the rules of, you don't talk about this at the dinner table, or you don't. It is completely fluid for us, but that's what works with us.
Right. Well, shared values.
That's what it is, shared values.
So founding a socially responsible company, and of course, I think most companies, if not all, should be socially responsible, but this is really core to your ethos. How does that impact the way you hire and measure progress, if at all?
It does. Well, it was interesting because when we launched Goodsearch, it was really founded on social responsibility. It still is, but what we realized through time is your product, social responsibility is bunk. It means nothing if your product isn't good. And so we had to take a period of time where we stopped putting so much emphasis on helping the causes because we had limited resources, right? And we had to focus all of this on building the best coupon product out there. No one would use it. We have competitors out there. If we're not as good as them, no one's going to use us. The causes get nothing.
Right.
And so I think for us, it was almost the opposite of how do you kind of scale back for a second on the social responsibility, focus on the product, and then be able to do all the good that you wanted to do.
Sure. And I think doing that will probably maximize what you can actually do.
Absolutely.
In terms of social impact.
Absolutely. But we definitely attract a certain kind of person, right? We have throughout the years because of our give back.
Yep. So shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious. So you are both an entrepreneur and a journalist. I'm wondering, how does doing both of those things make you better at each?
Well, because I am so lucky, right? So it's funny, if you watch MSNBC, my show, Your Business, through the years, if you see what I'm focusing on, you'll probably figure out what I'm dealing with at work. When something like, what percentage of healthcare should you pay? Or you're moving offices, how do you do that? And so I've just basically had this whole advisory group of anyone who I wanted to ask questions. And then on the flip side, I think because I'm actually in the trenches as a business owner, then when it comes to journalism, I can ask the next question. So that, if you take the healthcare one, so when you say, should I use a PEO, right, an outsourced human resources payroll service, then I can say, but this PEO does this and this one does this, which one should we use? Which I wouldn't know that stuff if I hadn't just done it myself.
Yeah, it's not a surprise, because I've always found that your questions are very, they're very practical, and I guess it's because you were looking for a lot of this actual actionable insight yourself.
Exactly.
Versus sort of the abstract stuff that is interesting but isn't actually actionable.
Well, and I also felt like I can get inspiration from a lot of places, but ultimately I'm going to come home and have to do it.
Yeah.
And so inspiration will take me this far, it will get me going, but then I need help doing it, and that's what I try to have our show do is, okay, now this is ABCD, how you do it.
So then being in both of those worlds, a lot of us try to get press for our projects and for our progress. And what would you, if you have a tip for entrepreneurs who reach out to journalists directly, what should we be doing more of or differently to get a journalist excited about what we're doing?
You have to tell the story they want to hear. I mean, it's just like when you're pitching an investor or a partner, right? You have to put yourself in their shoes and think what's going to pique their interest. So on my show, I'll give an example. So we always talk about stories of lessons learned. So it's almost irrelevant what your company does, and we're more interested in how you got there. And someone came and pitched me it was a long time ago, so CD-ROMs, of these great discs to teach emotional intelligence to kids. And she had all of this great story for me about how kids were learning this, and kids loved it, and moms loved it, and dads loved it, and blah, blah, blah. And she was almost pitching me a Today Show story, right? And so I said, that's great, congratulations, not interested. And I ran into her a few months later, and she told me this really interesting story about how she'd had these big investors who wanted to invest, and she said no. And instead, she got a group of parents, wealthy parents, to all be angel investors because she wanted them on her board. And I said, that's my story, right? And so if she had just stopped to think, oh, JJ's a business reporter, she's not a consumer reporter, let me think of what I can do to get her interested, we would have done the story earlier.
Interesting. I mean, one small and maybe controversial follow-up, but how about PR? I mean, I always get asked this by entrepreneurs. Do I need to hire a PR firm to launch? What is your take on the role of PR and what entrepreneurs should be doing themselves?
Not controversial. I think it's really hard, right? Because I've played that role also. And it's much easier to receive the pitches than give them.
Sure.
As it turns out, I like that role better. But I think hiring a PR team is really hard. It's really, especially when you're starting out, because that money, it's like marketing, money in, money out, PR, money out, who knows what happens. And so I almost feel like it is luck of the draw. I hate to say this. I know there are a lot of good PR companies out there, but you have to be really, really specific with them about the goals.
Yep.
Really specific about what happens if you don't reach those goals, and nobody can tell your story better than you.
Yeah.
And so they might be able to make a introduction for you, but you better be the one to tell the story.
Yep, and I often say that it's almost like you had one job. I mean, a job of an entrepreneur is to craft and tell that story. PR can help amplify it, but you've got to, if you're not going to, you can't outsource the story itself.
Yep.
So you've hosted your business for 12 years. Are there any consistencies across a lot of the successful and interesting people that you've had on the program over the years that I don't know, pearls of wisdom that you just hear again and again and again, maybe some that are not as conventional that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. Is there a certain personality type? And the answer is no, not at all. I've seen introverts, extroverts, people from very fancy backgrounds, people who grew up with nothing. So the ones I see are the ones we hear a lot about, which is people who can deal with failure, right? People who, when tough stuff starts coming at them, don't give up. I think that is, and I've seen that sort of with myself too, that is the moment where you are an entrepreneur or you are not. Is can you do that? And can you listen to people? Are you brave enough to make the decisions when you have to, but also brave enough to listen to people and think, maybe I'm wrong?
It's, I always feel like self-awareness is probably the competitive advantage in business that least gets discussed. I mean, can you know when you're wrong? Can you be able to hear and see what's going on around you? And if you're a big company, can you see yourself being disrupted? Can you?
Right.
Have you? I guess the question is like, I guess you've had folks on from big companies and from small companies, but how do entrepreneurs make sure that they're not the emperor in the new clothes, or with no clothes? Is it no clothes? How do they know that they're getting the feedback and the truth, as opposed to being blind to it?
You have to ask for it. You have to ask for it and then show people that when you get it, you're not mad at them. It is as easy as that, right? But I was interviewing someone the other day. I was in their office, a pretty powerful guy in charge of something, and his whole team, I haven't seen this in a while, petrified of him, right? I had to go interview him, and they were saying, oh, he didn't do this in the last interview, but nobody told him. Right? And that's exactly the kind of team you don't want to have. Right. And I think that starts with you, right? If you make it clear that you're open for feedback and they see you change or at least address why you're not changing, then I think people feel more open to giving it to you.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this since reading more and learning more about Bridgewater and Ray Dalio's principles and how he, I don't know if anyone's read that book yet, but he has this like radical transparency ethos in his company where everyone is constantly giving each other feedback after every meeting. And it's actually on the other end of the spectrum. It's almost like,
exhausting.
I know, everyone's rating everyone and it's this craziness, but and they have a very high attrition rate because a lot of people are like, this is too much for me, I'm out of here. But it is actually an interesting, how do you build that into the culture from the very beginning? How do you get people consistently sharing feedback with each other? Because it's not natural. And unless you prompt it, it probably will not come to you.
It's not natural, and you're afraid.
Yep.
Right? So particularly if you're young, this is new, or you really care about this job, and this is your dream, and someone's giving you bad feedback, right? It needs to be constructive, and it needs to be, you are not in trouble for this.
Yeah.
Right? We're moving forward. This is how we talk to each other, and this is how we all move forward.
Yep.
I love that, because what you were just describing, because then you have a culture of people who buy in.
Right.
It is so specific that you're sure not to have people in there that don't fit.
Sure, and if people leave because they're uncomfortable,
right, they
that's
should.
a good thing. So you just launched the book, The Startup Club. Congratulations, by the way. I know this was a real passion project for you.
It was.
Tell us about the project.
So this is, does anyone have kids in here? You guys seem young. Oh, good. Okay. So it's a fiction book for elementary age kids about a group of kids who start a business. And the whole idea was, I have 3 kids who are 7, 9, and 10, and I couldn't find any characters that were starting businesses. And kids are natural entrepreneurs. And so here's entrepreneurial. We went to the store, we couldn't find anything, so my sister and I wrote it.
Huh. And then can you, without giving any spoilers, can you tell us what the book is, what the storyline is?
Yeah, so Janie and Claire are having a sleepover, and one of them makes a CJ, it's a chain, CJ chains for the other one, and they think, this is a business, let's sell them. And then Janie and Claire get in a fight because one's working harder than the other, and then the mean girl in school copies them.
Oh my God, like I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah. Noah, the brother, teaches them how to make these good signs, but the whole idea is, by the end of the book, your kids should know the difference between revenue and profit. They should know what marketing is. And so we're taking the lemonade stand idea and basically teaching them these are the business concepts. You're not just having a lemonade stand. This sign is not a sign, it's marketing, you know? You may have made $10, but your mom just spent $10 on the lemon, so you made 0.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs who need to read this book. All right. JJ Ramberg, everybody. Thank you. Thanks.